Good evening and welcome to this meditation for Nottingham Buddhist Centre. If it's your first time meditating with us, you're very welcome. But equally, if you're not so new to meditation, you're also very, very welcome. So my name is Paul, and tonight I'm going to be guiding you through a meditation known as the Mindfulness of Breathing. And we teach two meditations at Nottingham Buddhist Centre. We teach the Mindfulness of Breathing, which really helps us to focus on our breath and awareness and being in the present moment, and also one called the Metta Bhavana, also known as a cultivation of loving kindness. And we tend to alternate them on a weekly basis. But since we've been locked down, since COVID happened, we've transferred all of those to our YouTube channel, so you can watch live. You can participate live with us, but also they're available there afterwards as well. And it's really encouraging to see that there are lots of people that are now engaging with the YouTube channel after the evenings, after the event. So whether you're watching this live with me on a Tuesday evening, or whether you're watching it later on, welcome. So as I say, this evening's meditation is known as the Mindfulness of Breathing. And if you've never meditated before, it really doesn't matter, because it will be a guided meditation. I'll be taking you step by step through the meditation. But if you want to learn a little bit more about what this meditation is about and the techniques that are involved with it in a bit more depth, we do now have a meditation toolkit, which is available on our YouTube channel. So you can access that. You can spend a bit more time, but obviously you can join us here on our drop-ins at any time. And our drop-ins occur every Tuesday and Friday. So Tuesday and Friday lunchtimes, but we also run this one at 7:30 on a Tuesday evening. So as we've been producing these, delivering these meditations during the lockdown period, we've tried to give each one of them a different flavor, because if you've even if you've done this meditation before, I always say it's worth listening, doing some guided meditations with different people at different times, because what you will often do is pick up slightly different ways perhaps of doing the meditation, and that may mean that you get slightly different results, different benefits from that. So I'm not going to concentrate too much on talking through lots of the detail of the particular meditation this evening, but we're going to give it a slightly different flavour. And what I've called it this evening is I've focused more on everyday awareness, because as wonderful as it is to sit down for 10, 15, 20 minutes or more even to meditate, for many of us, if we have busy lives, we're working, families and all that sort of thing going on, sometimes even finding 5 or 10 minutes can be quite difficult. But what I want you to encourage you to think about this evening is perhaps the ways in which you can introduce elements of meditation during your normal working day. Now, the term mindfulness is one that many people would think is one that's quite recently thought up, because it's used often in the workplace. You haven't got to look very far to see people talking about mindfulness and the benefits that can bring. And also now we hear more and more about mindfulness being beneficial for people with depression and other mental health conditions as well. It's quite on trend, really, I think it's fair to say at the moment. You can see elements of mindfulness and mindfulness teaching everywhere. But mindfulness isn't new at all. This particular meditation is what the Buddha taught and practiced about 2,500 years ago. So the concept of mindfulness has been around almost as long as human beings have probably been on the earth. And what does mindfulness actually mean? Well, I would say, if I was explaining it, that it's simply bringing more awareness to the here, to the now, to the present moment in which we live our lives. And of course, that is the only thing that we're ever guaranteed. Nobody knows what is coming next. So it's actually bringing our attention and perhaps disengaging a little bit from the mental activity that's going on, and just being more aware of what's occurring in our bodies, what's occurring in our present experience. So that's what this meditation really helps us and encourages us to develop. But it's not only in meditation that you can use these techniques. And you may also think as well, we could, the meditation is called the mindfulness of breathing. Why is it that we focus on the breath in this meditation? Well, there's a simple answer to that. And breath is common to us all, and breath is common to all living humans. And it's something that we can always return to. Our breath is something which is always there, but we don't always pay a great deal of attention to our breath. Bringing attention to our breath is a good way to connect a sense of awareness and alertness in our everyday lives. And one of the things as well about the breath is it is a connection between the mind and the body. Because if you think about it, we don't normally have awareness of us breathing, but we are breathing. However, if we connect with our mind, we can actually control our breathing. We can become more aware of it. So it is that real strong connection between the body and the mind, which makes it the ideal thing to bring our attention to when we're trying to cultivate some sense of awareness and the benefits that can bring. Now, at the moment, we're looking after my mum's dog, and I've not had a dog to look after since I was a teenager, really. But my mum's away for a couple of weeks, and she's very easy to look after. But she likes going out for a walk. She's only very small, so she doesn't walk very quick. And it occurred to me this evening as I was walking her in the park that there's a park about 2 minutes from where I live, and I was, she was sniffing around as dogs do. And I was sort of looking around and thinking, I've really never paid a great deal of attention to this park. And it's beautiful. And, the trees are all there, and children playing, and other people walking around, and all that activity, all that life is there on my doorstep. And I tend to just walk by and not really notice it at all. And it was having my mum's dog with me today that forced me to slow down. I didn't have my phone with me that I was looking at or anything like that, and it just gave me an opportunity to have a little bit of mindfulness in the moment. And it's little things, like little moments like that I encourage you, with the techniques that you're going to be learning and the meditation we'll be practicing this evening, to find some elements of that during your normal day. So, other examples could be when you're in the queue at the supermarket and you've got a couple of people in front of you. What are you going to do with that time? Well, you could get out your phone and have a look. I wouldn't recommend it. Or you could just have a moment of awareness and try and notice things around you, perhaps, that you haven't noticed before. And the more you do that, when you return back to meditation, often you'll find that you can get into the meditation much more easily, and that you'll find that the meditation itself is much more fruitful for you, that you'll perhaps gain different benefits from it that you may not have noticed before. So that is my challenge for you this evening, or whenever you're watching this video, is as have a little reflection after the meditation and think, well, actually, where are there 1 or 2 moments in my work, in my daily life, when I could just take an element of what I've got from that meditation practice there, and just create a little bit more awareness about my current surroundings and what's going on, and just really notice what happens. Because it's so common that many of us just rush away through life. I sometimes get to the end of the day and I think, I just don't know what's happened to that day, what's happened today. I couldn't really tell you much of what's happened, but it's just kind of whizzed by. And I think that's a message to me and to all of us to really just stop every now and again and just pay a little bit more attention to what's going on around us. So anyway, back to this evening's meditation. So as I mentioned earlier, we're doing the mindfulness of breathing meditation this evening. And this is a meditation in 4 stages. So I'll explain briefly the 4 stages, but just a reminder, if you want to look in more detail, we do have a video in our meditation toolkit, which will explain this in much more detail. So I will guide you through this. So even if you haven't meditated before, don't worry. So in the first stage of the mindfulness of breathing, I will encourage you to close your eyes and just become aware of your body and your breath in your body. And then what we do in the first stage of the mindfulness of breathing is we gently bring our awareness to the breath and count each breath. So after each out breath, we will just in our minds mentally count 1 at the moment, at the point where we've breathed out. And then we'll breathe in and we breathe out and we count 2. And we breathe in and we breathe out and we count 3. And we keep that process going until with the aim of getting to 10 breaths, of counting 10 breaths. That's our hope. So breathe in, breathe out, and at the moment that the breath has finally left the body, you count 1. And then what I'll do after a period of time is I'll ring a bell and we'll move on to the second stage of the mindfulness of breathing. And this is very similar, but all we're doing now is we're changing the count to a different part of the breath. So now rather than counting at the end of the breath, end of the out breath, we're going to count at the moment that the breath enters the body, just a fraction before you start to breathe in. So you'll count and breathe in and breathe out. And then there'll be a slight pause, and then there'll be a second count, 2, breathe in, breathe out, and a slight pause. And we'll again continue that count, and our hope is to get to 10 breaths. If you do successfully get to 10 breaths, with the first or the second stage, you go right back to the beginning with 1 again. So we're counting in sets of 10. So that's the first 2 stages of the mindfulness of breathing. I'll ring the bell again after the second stage, and in the third stage, what we then do is we drop all the counting altogether, and we're just going to be aware of our breath, whatever that means for you. So it's not thinking about the breath, it's noticing the breath in the body, notice the sensations of the breath, perhaps noticing the breath in a particular part of the body. And you're just noticing your body breathing in space, in the space which you are occupying at this present moment in time. So that is the third stage. Simply drop the counting and you're focusing solely on the breath. And then in the fourth stage, we do something slightly different. We're still observing the breath, but this time what we're doing is we bring our attention to the sensation of the breath as it enters the body at the point that it enters the body. So just noticing the sensation of the breath perhaps around the nostrils, or you might notice it across the top lip here. And some people notice it a bit higher up, and that will be the point, the sensations of a little higher within the nostrils where the breath is entering the body. Okay, so they are the four stages. I'll just quickly recap that for you. So the first one is counting after the out breath. So second one is when you count but just before the in breath. The third stage, you just let the counting go, and you're just observing your own breath at your own pace. And then finally the fourth stage. In the fourth stage, what you do is you notice the sensations of the breath at the point where the breath enters the body. Okay, so I will talk you through all of that as we go through, so don't worry if you haven't retained all of that. But one thing I will encourage you to have a little think about before we get started is your posture. And similarly, if you've never meditated before, don't worry too much this evening. But there is also a video which talks about meditation posture. Now, for many people, when they meditate for the first time, they'll be sitting down. I'm on a stool here at the moment, which works well for me. But if you haven't meditated before, I would perhaps not recommend being sat down in a nice sort of yoga lotus position, because you've got to be in a position which is going to be comfortable for you for about 20 minutes. So however you are, whether you're sitting, whether you're on the floor, what you need to do is make sure that your spine is nice and upright, and that you can feel a good contact with the floor and the chair or whatever you might be sitting on. So I'm kneeling at the moment, so I'd focus on the contact with the knees with the floor and the sitting bones on the stool in which I'm sitting as well. If you're in a chair, perhaps use something like a dining room chair, something that's nice and firm, and it means that you can support yourself on your sitting bones, but have a nice gap there between your back and the back of the chair. Because what we want to avoid is kind of leaning back, or certainly not sitting on the sofa or anything like that, because it just gets a little bit too comfortable and we start to crumple and we start to fall asleep before we know it. And remember that this meditation is all about awareness. So we want to be keeping ourselves alert but comfortable at the same time as well. So we'll get started very shortly. I will start with a very short bit of a warm-up just to help us to find our space and to connect with our bodies before we start the meditation. Got a few messages here, so welcome Mandy and Anthony and Daniel as well. So lovely to have you here with us this evening. So hopefully that's everything. And if you would like to get yourself into a nice comfy spot, nice comfy position. One other thing to mention about posture before I forget is I've got my cushion here. If you're sitting or on the floor, often it's better just to raise your hands ever so slightly. So I've got a cushion on my lap here and just resting my hands in a sort of cupped position like that. That just takes a little bit of tension out of the shoulders and really helps you just to relax more into your posture. Okay, so without further ado, we'll get started with the meditation. And if you'd like to just gently close your eyes to start with. And for the next 20 minutes or so, just tell yourself that you have permission to be here, that this time is for you to work on your mindfulness, your awareness. Allow yourself the permission not to have to worry about anything else for the next 20 minutes or so. Give yourself permission to commit yourself fully to the meditation. And what I'd like you to do is just become aware of your feet on the floor, or your knees if they're in contact with the floor, of your sitting bones sitting on your chair or your stool or wherever you happen to be. And really get a sense of yourself feeling quite connected with the earth, nicely grounded, nicely rooted down. And feel reassured by that, because that grounding, that rooting is supporting the rest of your body during the meditation practice. Just notice if you're holding any tension in your legs. Large muscles of your thighs can sometimes hold on a little bit tighter than they need to. And if you find that is the case, just simply breathe into that area and see if you can allow some of that tension to slip away. Remaining grounded, now move up to your abdomen, to your belly. Again, this is an area where we can kind of hold on a little bit too tightly. We've had quite a stressful day. But because we're going to be focusing on our breathing, we really need to make sure that that belly is nice and relaxed. So if you're holding any tension, just gently allow that to relax. You may have a sensation of something sinking down into the ground as you allow any tension to release. Now bring your attention to your lower back, the area of your kidneys, and further up the spine to the back of the neck and the shoulders. Just notice the sensations in this area. We can hold a lot of tension in our back as well, but it is possible for our back to be nice and upright, nice and relaxed, without holding any tension. So imagine your shoulders being drawn down to the earth under the power of gravity. Gently, gently draw down. And if there's any tension in your shoulders, your neck, just allow that to ease gently. As you bring awareness to the hands resting on your lap. Just notice how your hands feel. Are they warm? Are they cool? Are there any sensations of tingling, or what do you notice? Just be aware of the sensation of your hands resting there on the cushion or on your lap, wherever they happen to be. Just notice how that feels. If there's any tension in your arms, your lower arms or your upper arms, just again allow gravity to allow you to be grounded and allow any tension to slip away through the floor. As we now bring our attention to the back of the head and our scalp and our forehead. If you've had a stressful day, sometimes we can find that we're still frowning. Allow any tension lines that you may find in this area just to gently release. Allow yourself to let all of those stresses and the strains of the day leave you now. You've given yourself permission to use this time to create awareness and to allow your mind to calm down a little. So honor that. So now, bring your attention to your breath. And at no point during the meditation, control the breath. Throughout the meditation, you are here to observe your breath at your pace. Allow your breath to do its own natural thing, and all you're going to be doing is watching that breath, observing it. Notice first of all which part of the body you notice the breath more. You notice your breath more in the belly, in the chest, in the throat or the nose. Wherever you notice the sensation of your breath most strongly, just bring all of your focus for the moment to that particular point. And now what I'd like you to do is to take a large deep breath in and then let a deep breath come out all in one go. We're going to do this 3 times. Nice deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. 3rd time, breathe in all the way into the bottom of your belly. And then let it go. And now return your breathing to normal. Observing the rise and fall of your breath. As we move into the practice of the mindfulness of breathing. In the first stage of the practice, just bring awareness to your breath, remembering not to change anything, simply to observe your breath in your body. And at the point where you breathe out, count 1. Breathe in, breathe out, and count 2. Breathe in, breathe out. 3. Continue the breaths in your own time, counting after each out-breath at the moment the breath has left the body. Not out loud, but just mentally If your mind begins to wander, that's fine. That happens. Just bring your awareness back as quickly as you can to the sensation of the breath in your body. As you notice your in-breath, breathe in, breathe out, and count. If your mind is trying to distract you from the breath, just try to become aware of the sensation of the breath in the body more and return to your counting. If you find that you get to 10 breaths, then start all over again with the breath at 1. Sometimes you can lose count. Sometimes you can even go beyond 10. If either of these things happen, don't be hard on yourself. Simply bring back your awareness to your breath and start the count once again at 1. It should feel like a really natural process of just watching your breath, observing your natural breath. If you notice any tension creeping in, just notice if you're trying to control the breath. And if you are, just tell yourself to observe the breath at the pace which is most natural for you. It's quite natural to be distracted by things around you and thoughts that can occasionally come into your mind. But you can always return to the breath. It never goes away. Moving now into the second stage of the meditation. Without changing your breath at all, just noticing your breath at the speed, the pace, which feels natural for you. What we're going to do now is bring our awareness to that moment just before you breathe in. And at that moment just before you breathe in, begin with a count of 1. When you've breathed out, there'll be a short pause, and then count again before the second breath. 2, breathe in, breathe out. Continue counting before the breath enters the body. Try and get to 10 breaths without being distracted. Be gentle. Don't change your breath in any way. You are just observing your breath. The count is there just as a gentle marker. Your awareness should be on the breath more than on the counting. Once again, if thoughts creep into your head, just notice what's happening and bring your awareness back to your body and the sensation of the breath in your body. And start once again counting at 1 as your breath enters your body. Continue at your own pace. And if you reach 10 breaths, start over again with your count at 1. If you find your mind is still trying to get involved, let's bring your awareness to the sensation of the breath in a different part of the body as you continue to count just before the new breath enters the body. Moving now on to the third stage of the meditation. We're going to allow the counting to disappear altogether. As we bring awareness simply to the sensations of the breath in the body. Whether it's the movement of your chest, the rise and fall, or the expansion of your breath into your belly, or the sensation of the breath at the back of your throat or in your nose. Just bring full awareness to to those sensations of breath as your body breathes at its own pace. Once again, if your mind wanders, if you find yourself thinking about something, just notice a point in your body where you can experience your breath, where you can feel your breath. And once again, become the observer of your own breath in your own body. You may also like to bring awareness to that brief moment between your breaths, the moment between one breath leaving your body and another breath entering your body. Just notice anything you experience in that brief moment between one breath and the next. In this short space between the breaths, can you maintain a sense of awareness without connecting with your thoughts? Just continue for a few moments more, breathing at your own pace, being as aware as you possibly can be of the experiences of your breath in your body. Moving now on to the final stage of the meditation. Allow your awareness to move to the point where you notice your breath entering your body. Just take a few moments to notice on what part of your body you notice the sensation of the breath as it enters your body. This may be a gentle breeze around your nostrils, or perhaps on your top lip, or maybe just inside the nostrils. As you continue to breathe at your own pace, try to bring your attention more and more to that small area of your body where you notice the breath first. And once you've identified that area, see if you can pinpoint the sensation at the point where it's most strong. In that area, where do you notice the breath most? What does it feel like? Is it cold? Is it gentle? Does it tickle? This will be different for all of us. So don't judge it, just notice what's going on at your own time, your own pace. Become curious. Do you notice the sensation more on one side than the other? Allow yourself to keep breathing at your own pace as you sharpen your attention, your focus, ever more on this point where the breath enters the body. And enjoy this sensation. Enjoy this sense of alertness and awareness of being alive. For a few moments more, just continue at your own pace, keeping awareness of the sensations of the breath at the point where it enters the body. As we draw the meditation to a close, just gently bring awareness back to the whole of your body, starting with your feet, your knees, to become aware of sensations in your feet, your knees, and your legs, just moving them a little bit, moving them gently. Awareness in your hips, your belly, all those areas we've been breathing into, your chest, your back, your shoulders. Awareness of the back of your neck, back of your head, your scalp, and your face. In your own time, allow the eyes to gently open. And after any meditation, just take a few moments just to allow yourself to adjust to being back out of meditation. And I hope that you enjoyed that meditation this evening or later on if you're watching this video at a later point. And what I'd really encourage you to do is just take a moment now to reflect on how you could perhaps introduce some elements of the mindfulness of breathing in your everyday life. So when we're counting the breath, that doesn't have to be in meditation. We could take a moment, perhaps during a busy day at work, just to pause and count a few breaths, be aware of a few breaths, notice the sensation of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. We can use any of those aspects during the day, just really to help to create a sense of mindfulness and awareness at any time. It doesn't need long. If you can just take 30 seconds or a minute just to create a sense of mindfulness, it could help you have a better day. So thank you for joining me this evening, and we hope to see you on some of these meditations in the future, and possibly even in the Nottingham Buddhist Centre itself at some point in the future. We've obviously been locked down for several months now, but we've been doing our best to continue sharing our practices, to continue to share the benefits of meditation at a time where a lot of people are looking for things to help them during this difficult period. And we want to be able to continue to share the benefits of meditation and Buddhism. Unfortunately, though, at the moment, because the centre is closed, we're not able to run classes, we're not able to hire out our rooms. So we are facing quite a shortfall of funding on a weekly basis. So if you are able to, I would be very grateful if you would be able to give a donation to the centre to continue the work that we do. There is a link in the YouTube channel, but also on our website, the Nottingham Buddhist Centre website, you can also make a donation as well. However, that said, that everybody is welcome here, and if you aren't able to, if you're not able to pay, if you're not able, can't afford anything, your presence here is as equally important as any donation that you give. However, if you can, we would very, very much appreciate it. So thank you once again for joining me this evening. And I hope that you're able to take some elements of what we've practiced this evening into your day, into your working day. And we welcome you back here at any time. Our drop-ins are Tuesdays and Friday lunchtimes, and also Tuesday evenings at 7:30. So I hope to see you again at some point in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.